It's hard to not get offended when someone does or says something that feels like an attack, an accusation, a judgment, a rejection, or a slight. But here's the thing. Getting offended is something that we do. It's not something that someone else does. Yes, someone else does something or says something, but then we are the ones who are getting offended. And the good news is that means we are in charge of whether or not we get offended, which means that we can choose to just not get offended. But don't worry, that's not where this talk ends. The secret to not getting offended is not just to not get offended. I'm going to walk you through exactly how to not let yourself get offended so easily, because we can't always control what other people say or do or how they treat us, but we can be in charge of what we do with that. So we're going to get into this in just a moment. But first, if you're new here, welcome to our incredible little corner on the internet. My name is Kristina, and I am a registered clinical therapist, a researcher, a coach, a speaker, and the author of my book, Drive Your Own Darn Bus. And I help heart-centered humans think better, feel better, and live better so that they can like themselves and their lives more every day. So, how do you do it? How do you stop getting offended so easily? Well, I have several simple, straightforward ways for you to start practicing and start implementing right away, and they are going to help a lot. So the first thing you can do when someone does or says something and you notice yourself starting to get offended, take a step back and think about intent versus impact. Ask yourself, am I sure that that person meant to offend me? Am I sure that their intention was to hurt me? Or could it be that we have different communication styles? Could it be that we have different ways of saying things or approaching things? Could it be that maybe they just have really bad communication strategies and they didn't mean it like that? Is that a possibility? Just considering for a second that maybe the intention wasn't to hurt or offend. Taking that step back before jumping to conclusions and asking yourself, did they actually mean to offend me? Or could it be that I am just assuming that? The next thing is to start practicing emotional regulation. That gap between what someone does or says and how we react or respond is huge. So again, you're going to have to start tuning into your body when you notice yourself getting offended. Notice what feelings are coming up for you. And usually you can tell there's some kind of tension, maybe a dropping feeling in your stomach, a tightness in your throat, a hotness in your head. Some kind of emotion is coursing through your body and it doesn't feel good. And that's your first sign that something has been triggered inside of you. And so taking that moment and that breath, taking that space and collecting yourself. You can do that by taking a breath. You can do that by taking a break. You can do that by taking a walk around the block or a few minutes to regulate yourself before you react or respond. You can do that by taking even more than just a couple minutes and spending 5 or 10 minutes to practice some mindfulness to get yourself grounded and centered before you do or say anything. And I have a 10-minute guided mindfulness exercise for you. It's free. The link is in the description below. You can grab that and just stick some earphones in, and anytime, anywhere, get yourself good and grounded with this really powerful mindfulness exercise. Know that the more you take that moment, the more you take that break and create that space in those moments when you feel that emotional charge coming up, the more that gets wired into your brain. And not only are you calming yourself down in the moment, but you're actually rewiring how you react to things so that you don't automatically have a reaction. Your brain is being trained to take that space, to take that moment, which then in the future, it'll be so much easier to do. The more you do it, the more that becomes part of your brain makeup, the less you have to think about and intentionally do it, and the more your brain will start to automatically do it. That's the beauty of neuroplasticity. It's really incredible the way we can not only change the moment, but we can also change future moments by changing this moment. The next thing is to look inward, to look a little bit deeper and ask yourself, why did this bother me? What's coming up for me? Why did this trigger me? What is going on inside of me? Because understanding that when someone does or says something, more often than not, when we are offended by it, it is because it is hitting a sore spot in us. It is hitting a vulnerability. If someone is making jokes about your job and you're feeling insecure about your job, then you are probably going to get offended by that. If you send an invitation to an event and someone declines the invitation and you start to think that, wow, I wonder if anyone even really likes me, it's probably an indication that you're struggling with your self-worth. If we can learn less to react when we're having big emotions and instead get curious about what's really going on and using those big emotions for information, do a little deeper digging, then that is going to change the entire situation as well. The next thing is to really try not to assume the worst. To try not to assume that everything is a personal attack. And if you're at a point in your journey right now where you are finding that you are taking most things as a personal attack, then that's your opportunity to look inward and to ask yourself, what's going on inside of me that's making me assume the worst about what most people are saying or doing, or taking it personally, or getting reactive to it? Man, that's probably a really clear indication that I need to do some deeper healing work, that I need to do some deeper inner growth work. Because the truth is, everybody has their own moods, their own communication styles, their own struggles that are influencing what they do and what they say to you or to anybody else, which means that it's likely that if you are getting offended by the way someone says something or even what they say, it has very little, if not nothing, to do with you. If you're at work and one of your colleagues is being kind of snippy or snappy with you, you might automatically think, oh my gosh, they're mad at me. I've done something to offend them. I've done something wrong. But maybe it's that they just had a fight with their partner that morning. Or maybe it is that they just got a call from the school and one of their kids is really struggling. Or maybe it is that they had secretly gone for a promotion and didn't get it. We never know what's going on with someone else. And to automatically assume that whatever they have going on is directly about us is not a fair or helpful or productive assumption. And so working on considering that maybe that person is having a bad day, or maybe they just have something else going on, and maybe it's actually not at all about me. The next thing is to work on responding with curiosity instead of defensiveness. And if you are one of my shifters in my membership community, the Shift Society, you know that one of our favorite words in there that we bring up often is to get curious. Instead of getting critical, defensive, or reactive, get curious. I wonder what they meant by that. I wonder if they were trying to be offensive. I wonder what is going on with them. And you don't just have to wonder, you can ask. You can directly say, hey, what did you mean by that? Or can I get a little bit more clarity about this? Or I'm not sure I understand. Or as my friend Sarah said to me one time when I was in a mood and I snapped at her, she looked at me directly and said, hey, I'm your friend, and that's not very nice. And I immediately took a step back and I was like, you're right. That wasn't very nice. And that had nothing to do with you. That had to do with me and what I had going on. And as your friend, it is my job to be more aware of that and to be more mindful of that and not to take my stuff out on you. And so taking those moments to get curious, what's going on? Or can you tell me more about what you meant by that? So again, giving other people the benefit of the doubt and simply asking for clarity, asking for an explanation, or giving them an opportunity to rethink what they said or how they said it is going to be much more serving and productive than us just automatically getting offended. And then the next one is one that I affectionately refer to as the bless and release. Understanding that we can't control what anyone else says or does, and we have no idea what's going on with them. Allowing them to be in their mood, to have going on whatever they have going on, and to not take it in or take it on. To allowing those things to roll off our back and to bless them for whatever struggle that they are in right now that is causing them to treat other people in not so nice of a way, and release yourself from taking it personally. Because chances are it's not. Because the truth is, most things are not. People are in their own stuff. They have their own things going on. They are reacting from their space, from their thoughts, from their moods, from their emotions, from their struggles, which means that, yeah, it has little or nothing to do with you. Working on regulating your emotions when you get triggered, when things come up, when you feel offended, to keep yourself grounded, to keep yourself sturdy and stable and unattached from whatever it is that someone else has going on, is a powerful and imperative first step in all of this. And that 10-minute guided mindfulness exercise that you can grab in the link in the description below is going to be really helpful for that. And it's going to make a big impact on your emotional state when things like this happen. As always, it is so good to have you here. And until next time, take good care of yourselves. Take good care of those around you. Bye for now.